And right now we are starting to get videos from our viewers. Again, we've been getting them all this morning, pretty much as soon as it started, and now we've had the chance to compile a few. So this is ring camera footage from Dylan Hawkins in Maryville, Tennessee. So look, everything seems to be still now on his ring video, but we know that earthquake is coming up in just a second. There you can see the shaking on the camera.
Yeah, and it gets more intense, as you can see.
Again, so that was in Maryville in Blount County. This originated in Loudoun County. It was about 12.4 miles southeast of Greenback, Tennessee, and there you can see it was felt in Maryville. Now we want to show you another video. This is from Sabrina Profit. So this is ring camera footage from her, and this is again in Maryville, Tennessee. It looks like showing maybe her front yard here. You can see that camera starting to shake, Erin.
Yep, yeah, it really, you can clear as day see it. It's just, sometimes you think that you may be the only one that felt something like that, but we are hearing from so many people that they felt, they heard things shaking around. It was just such a shock.
Yeah, and one thing that you might have heard as this was occurring was some sort of boom. So Erin and I were here. We were in the middle of our 9 o'clock newscast, and we heard a boom that almost sounded like a car outside had somehow struck the building or something had happened. And if you heard a boom, that could have just been from the ceiling, some infrastructure shifting. But we have seen from some of our previous reporting in 2019 that typically you don't start to see any major damage to glass or anything like that until you get to a 4.4 magnitude earthquake. As a reminder, we got to a 4.1 magnitude earthquake as reported by the USGS. So thankfully, there shouldn't be any major damage. Now, this is video from Wendy Newton in the Rocky Hill area of Knoxville. It's a reaction from her dog right as that earthquake is happening. And that is something I heard from my friends as well who felt that earthquake this morning, is some of them, their animals reacted before they even felt it. Here you can see Kelly Edler and her dog seemed to be reacting. So if for whatever reason your animals were maybe a little bit skittish this morning or maybe acting a little bit out of sorts, that could definitely be the reason. Now this was also from the Maryville area. Again, you can see those dogs.
Yeah, I mean, dogs certainly do not understand what's going on. You hear about them freaking out with thunderstorms, with the ground shaking under you. I mean, it startled both of us. And so we're sending people out to talk to you all about what today felt like. And again, thankfully, we have no damage reports.
Right.
So hopefully this can just go down as a very rare occurrence, going to tie in the top 5 strongest earthquakes felt here in East Tennessee.
And I do think we have a little bit of sound. We talked to Natalie Sladen, and she told us a little bit about what she was feeling like in the moments that the earthquake struck the area. Wow, I don't mean to laugh. That is so crazy. That was much louder than I expected. I had mentioned that Erin and I heard a boom earlier, and it was nothing like that.
No, that almost sounded like a bell. Perhaps
it did.
She has bells, but one thing we mentioned earlier is if perhaps you were having a late morning and you haven't really done a check around your home yet, very light objects could have fallen. We're really not expecting much damage, if any, to have occurred. Really the only thing is some startled animals, perhaps some startled humans, and maybe some light objects.
Yes, and that was what Kent Moran from the University of Memphis was telling us, was maybe if you had something on the edge of a shelf kind of dangling precariously towards the edge, that maybe that could have fallen off the shelves. But again, no major damage reports, no injuries that are being reported so far. We have reached out to local law enforcement, but this is from Diana Britton. It's a video from outside her home, and look at that camera shaking. Oh my goodness. That is really crazy to see. And again, that does seem to be the story for people all across our area, even into Georgia. I know Erin's heard from people in Georgia that have said that they could feel it. We got an email from, I think it was Morganton, Georgia, saying that they also felt it for about 20 seconds. And then here's our weather porch from the station. So there you can see it was right outside, and we were able to go back and find that footage. And again, Erin and I were here sitting right where we are now. We were in a story, and so unfortunately we don't have the video from our cameras actually shaking here in the newsroom because we weren't on camera at the time. However, they really were shaking apparently. We heard our producers and our director in the back saying that they saw the camera shake, and we all certainly felt it here in the station in Knoxville.
Yeah, I think, Sam, one thing I will take away from this is the sounds we were talking about. It's just things that, you know, don't usually shake in your home, or in the TV studio, the light shaking. That was really what was most startling, which led us to believe there was almost an accident outdoors and some sort of impact. Earthquake was really not what came to my mind first, because one of this magnitude, 4.1, is just not very common around here.
Exactly, and that's what Christine Powell with the University of Memphis was saying, was that when she was listening to some of the voicemails that we got, and even just listening to our reaction, I think this startled a lot of people in the area. But the important thing to remember is that this was stronger than the magnitudes that we usually feel, but this area is prone to earthquakes. We usually see earthquakes that are around the 2.0 magnitude, maybe a little bit higher, but not something that you would necessarily feel. And so this is not entirely out of the ordinary.